My girlfriend and I experienced something terrifying in our own home last night. I honestly don't know if I'm writing this to get advice, validation, or just to put it into words, because my brain has been running in circles ever since it happened. I don't usually post on here, but I lurk a lot, and some of your stories have kept me up at night. Now I guess I finally have one of my own, so for context, I'm Matt, 29, and my girlfriend is Emily, 27. We've been together for a couple of years now, living in a rental house on the edge of town in Ohio. Nothing particularly fancy, just a little two-bedroom place with a fenced yard, a decent-sized kitchen, and a living room where we spend most of our nights watching TV before bed last night. Started like any other. We'd made some cheap pasta, had a couple of beers, and curled up on the couch with a blanket to watch MasterChef. That's our comfort show. We both love Gordon Ramsay yelling at people for screwing up risotto. It's a weird little tradition. Anyway, the episode ends, and I notice Emily looking kind of sleepy. She has this strict nighttime routine because of her medication. She takes it at the same time every night, and about 20 minutes later she's ready for bed. She also has this thing, probably mild OCD, where she cannot sleep without double-checking every door, every lock, every window. She'll walk around the whole house, jiggling the knobs, sliding the latches, even making me get up sometimes if she doesn't like how something felt. At first, I thought it was overkill, but I've gotten used to it. So she does her usual check. Front door locked, back door locked, windows latched, curtains closed, all good. Then she heads to the bedroom and I follow her because I like laying with her until she falls asleep. It's just kind of our thing. We've been in bed for maybe 15 seconds. Seriously, no more than that. When it happens, this noise, clear as day. Loud coming from the kitchen. It sounded like clack, 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 heavy. Like someone walking around, but not soft human footsteps. More like boots or, I don't even know how to describe it. Something with weight. The sound echoed, like it was against the tile floor. I froze. Emily froze too. Her eyes went wide and she whispered, "Matt, what the hell is that?" I wanted to brush it off at first, tell her maybe it was the fridge making a noise, or something settling in the house. But no, this wasn't subtle. This wasn't creaking wood. This was movement. Pacing deliberate. I quietly got up and locked our bedroom door. My heart was pounding. In my ears I could hear it through the door, which was insane, because our bedroom door is pretty solid but still, clack, clack, clack. Moving around, stopping, starting again. Emily grabbed her phone and called her friend Sarah. She wanted someone on the line. Maybe as a witness, or just so she wouldn't feel alone. She was whispering into the phone, "There's something. In our house, I swear to God I can hear it." Sarah thought she was joking at first, but Emily was shaking. We sat there for 2, maybe 3 minutes, listening to this, whatever it was. Walking in my kitchen. My mind was racing. I was trying to think, could someone have gotten in? No, impossible. Emily had just checked everything. The front and back doors were deadbolted, windows locked, and then, just like that, it stopped. No fading, no gradual slowing, just silence. My heart was in my throat. Emily looked at me like, "Don't you dare go out there." But I couldn't just sit there. After maybe a full minute of dead quiet, I told her, "Stay here, I'll check." I grabbed the baseball bat I keep by the dresser left over from when I played in high school, but now it's basically my just-in-case weapon, unlocked the door, and crept into the hallway. Every step felt louder than it should have. The house was still. I walked into the kitchen, bat raised, ready to swing at whoever or whatever I found. But there was nothing. No broken glass. No signs of forced entry. Nothing. Out of place. Every door was still locked. Every window still shut tight. Even the cabinets were all closed, which is weird, because sometimes we forget one. It was just empty. But I know what I heard. Emily knows too. She was shaking when I came back into the bedroom asking, "What did you see? Was someone there?" And I had to tell her the truth. No. No one. Nothing. We stayed awake for hours after that, too freaked out to sleep. Emily kept Sarah on the phone, just talking about random stuff to distract herself. I sat in bed, staring at the doorway, listening for the smallest sound. Nothing else happened the rest of the night. But here's the thing. I can't stop thinking about it. It wasn't the house settling. I've lived here long enough to know those sounds. It wasn't the fridge. It wasn't a neighbor, it was inside my kitchen, heavy. Deliberate. Like something there wanted us to know it was there. And it gets weirder. Emily swears she saw something out of the corner of her eye earlier that night, before we went to bed. She didn't say anything at the time because she thought she was just tired. She said it looked like a shadow moving across the wall, but when she turned her head, nothing was there. Now, I don't know if this is paranormal, psychological, or if someone actually managed to get in and then out without us noticing, but none of it makes sense. I keep replaying the sound in my head, that heavy clacking, almost like boots, almost like claws. I've never been so unsettled in my life. Update. My girlfriend and I experienced something terrifying in our own home last night. Hey everyone, it's Matt again. I honestly didn't expect my original post to blow up the way it did. I thought maybe a few people would read it, drop a comment or two, and move on. Instead, I spent the last 24 hours scrolling through hundreds of replies, some telling me it was definitely paranormal, others convinced it was an intruder, and a good chunk of people telling me to move the hell out. First off, thanks to everyone who commented. Reading through your theories made me realize I wasn't completely losing my mind. Emily and I sat together on the couch today, drinking coffee, and we read a lot of them out loud. Some of the suggestions made us laugh, like the one about a raccoon learning how to pick locks. But others honestly made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Anyway, I promised I'd update. If anything else happened, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, it something did last night. We tried to treat it like a normal night. I didn't want Emily to spiral into anxiety, and truthfully, I was trying to convince myself it was nothing. Just a weird noise. Maybe I exaggerated it in my head, and when evening rolled around, we both felt this heaviness. Like the house itself was different. You know how you can just feel when the atmosphere shifts? That's what it was like. Before bed, I decided to do something I should have done last night. I set up my old GoPro in the kitchen. I had bought it years ago for hiking trips and barely used it. It's not top of the line or anything, but it records pretty well in low light. I put it on the counter facing the hallway that leads to the bedroom, hit record, and told Emily we'd see if it caught anything. We went through the same routine. MasterChef rerun, snacks, Emily's lock check. She tried to laugh it off, saying, "If Gordon Ramsay barges into the kitchen tonight yelling at us for undercooked chicken, I'm moving out." But her laugh was thin. We got into bed around 11:30. The noise again. At first, nothing. Just the usual creaks and hums of the house at night. Then, around midnight, it started. That same sound, clack, clack, clack. Emily grabbed my arm so tight her nails dug into me. We both sat there, staring at the door. This time, it wasn't just, the kitchen. The sound moved, I swear on everything. I heard it travel down the hallway toward our bedroom. My heart was hammering. I whispered to Emily, "Stay here." She whispered back, "Don't you dare." But the sound stopped again. Just like last time, I waited, bat in hand, before finally unlocking the door and stepping into the hallway. Empty. The GoPro? This morning, I remembered the camera. Honestly, I was scared to check it, but curiosity won at first. Nothing but boring footage of our kitchen. You can hear us moving around before bed, Emily doing her lock check, me clattering dishes, but then, around midnight, the sound starts. On the footage, you can hear the clacking. Clear as day. I almost threw up when I realized we weren't imagining it. But here's the part that chilled me to my core. The motion sensor light over the sink flickers on, and for about 2 seconds, you can see something, not a person. Not clearly anyway. It's like a shadow, but darker, humanoid. But the proportions are wrong. Too tall, too thin, almost stretched, and then it just slips out of frame. The GoPro didn't catch much else. No face, no details. Just that glimpse. Emily cried when she saw it. She kept saying, I told you something was there. What now?" So now we're sitting here, more freaked out than before. We locked the footage on my laptop and emailed a copy to ourselves, just in case I don't even know what to do with it. Send it to a paranormal investigator? The cops? "Hey officer, here's a blurry shadow that may or may not be a demon." Emily wants to sleep at her mom's house tonight. Honestly, I don't blame her. I agreed we'll pack some stuff and go stay there for a couple of days. I don't feel safe here anymore. Not after hearing those footsteps in the hallway. Part of me wants to burn this place to the ground. The other part wants to set up 5 more cameras and see if we can catch it again. I don't know if this is paranormal, psychological, or if we're both just losing it. But whatever it is, it's not nothing. And now we have proof. Second update. We left the house, but things followed us. Hey everyone, it's Matt again. I honestly didn't think I'd be back so soon. But after the last post, so much has happened that I need to get it off my chest. Emily and I have been staying at her mom's place for the last few nights. Her mom lives about 30 minutes away, in a quiet little ranch house with a fenced yard. It felt safe when we first arrived. Cozy, warm, nothing like the tension that's been hanging in our own house. For the first time since that night, I thought maybe we could finally relax, but then last night happened. The first night at her mom's was fine. We were both exhausted from lack of sleep, so we passed out pretty quickly. Emily's mom, Linda, is one of those moms who fusses over everything, so she insisted we sleep in her room while she took the guest room. Honestly, I didn't mind. It was the first time I'd felt some comfort in days. The second night, Emily and I stayed up late scrolling through comments on my last update. Some people told me it was definitely paranormal, and we needed to cleanse the house. Others said it was probably some squatter or drug addict hiding out. And then there were people who basically said we're both crazy. I kept thinking about the GoPro footage, that thing, the shadow. I replayed it at least 20 times. The longer I looked at it, the less it looked like a trick of the light. It was shaped too much like a person, but not exactly, like something trying to look human but failing. Last night, we were in bed again, trying to get some sleep. Linda had gone to bed around 10. Emily was curled up against me, finally starting to drift off when I heard it clack. That same sound, my blood went cold. At first, I thought I imagined it. Maybe my brain was filling in blanks. But then I heard it again. Louder. Coming from the living room. Emily sat up immediately. Did you hear that? I didn't even want to answer. We both sat there, holding our breath. Then came a third sound. Not clacking this time. More like the creak of a floorboard. The kind you hear when someone's slowly walking across an old house. Linda's house isn't big. If someone was out there, they were maybe 20 feet away. I grabbed my phone and the same old baseball bat I'd brought with us. My hands were shaking. Emily whispered, "Please don't go out there," but I had to. The hallway. I opened the bedroom door and stepped into the hallway. It was pitch black, except for the faint glow from a streetlight leaking through the blinds. The living room was silent. I took a few steps forward, my heart pounding so loud I swear it echoed. Then, out of nowhere, the sound came again, right behind me. Clack! I spun around, swinging the bat at nothing. The hallway was empty. Emily screamed from the bedroom, and I rushed back in. She was pointing at the corner of the room, her face pale. "I saw it," she whispered. "Matt, I saw it standing there. I didn't see anything, but she swore she did. Tall, thin, shadow-like." The same thing from the footage. Linda came running in, flipping on the light. She thought someone had broken into the house. We tried to explain, but I could tell from her face she didn't know what to think. Then she said something that rattled me even more. "You know," she said carefully, "when Emily was a little girl, she used to wake me up crying about the man in the hallway. I always thought it was just nightmares, but now..." She trailed off. Emily went white. She said she barely remembered those dreams, but hearing her mom say it out loud made her stomach drop. Where we are now, we're still at Linda's, but none of us slept after that. Emily refuses to go back to our house at all right now. And honestly, I don't blame her. I've been debating whether to reach out to someone. A priest, a paranormal investigator, even just a friend with more cameras. Something, because this isn't just our house anymore. Whatever this is, it followed us, and now I don't know what to do. Stories number 2. Should I let my boyfriend move in with me? Hi Reddit, I've been lurking here forever but never thought I'd actually post. A lot has been weighing on me, and I need some outside perspective that isn't colored by love, history, or family ties. I am 28. F. My boyfriend, Alex, 28M. And I have been together for almost 7 years. On paper, we look like a long-term, stable couple. We met during college in Ohio, started dating our senior year, and somehow made it through long distance after graduation when he moved back home to Pennsylvania while I stayed in Columbus for work. We survived that phase, and when I eventually relocated closer to him, things felt more serious. Last year, I finally bought my first place, a 2-bedroom condo in a small town outside of Pittsburgh. It was a huge milestone for me. I worked 2 jobs for years, saved aggressively, and cried when I signed the papers. It isn't huge, but it's mine. I love the feeling of unlocking my own door and knowing I'm the one who pays the bills and keeps things running. Alex has been hinting, no, outright asking, if he can move in with me right now. He still lives with his parents. He works remotely full-time in IT, so being at his parents' house is convenient for him. But he's 28, and I can tell he feels a little embarrassed about still living there, especially when so many of our friends have apartments, roommates, or live with partners. At first, I thought, sure, this is the natural next step. We've been together this long, but the more I sit with it, the more anxious I feel. The small cracks Alex stays over at my condo about 3 to 4 nights a week, right now, and while I genuinely love having him around, watching Netflix together, cooking dinner, waking up next to him, I've noticed that my workload increases a lot when he's here, and not just in the normal, having 2 people in a space means more dishes, laundry, trash kind of way. It feels like I automatically shift into caretaker mode when he's at my place. I cook more meals, I clean up more often. I find myself picking up his socks or folding his hoodie he left on the couch. He doesn't exactly trash the place, but he also doesn't really manage it. When I bring this up, he tends to brush it off. His go-to response is, I already do help, you just have higher standards. Which may be true, but it also feels like a cop-out, the laundry incident. Here's one example that keeps playing in my head. A couple months ago, we got back from a week-long trip to visit friends. Neither of us had much clean laundry left at my place. I started a load of clothes that included some of his stuff because he needed clean things for work the next day. When the load was done, I took the time to hang everything up properly. Some on the heated drying rack, some on hangers, some laid out to air dry. I mixed both his and mine evenly. Later that night, Alex complained that his boxers weren't dry. I told him they would be dry by morning since that's when he said he needed them. But he got annoyed and said I should have prioritized putting all of his clothes on the heated airer before mine. Just stared at him. I had literally washed and hung his clothes for him, without him asking, without him lifting a finger. And instead of appreciating it, he acted like I failed some test. I said, if you needed them tonight, you should have told me earlier. I would have put at least 1 pair on the rack. His response? Well, I figured you'd just do it. That's the kind of stuff that worries me. Work from home dynamic. Another issue. Alex works fully remote. His IT job is solid, but he spends 8 to 10 hours a day at his desk. If he moved in, he'd be in the condo way more than I am, since I go into the office 3 to 4 days a week. That means he'd be using the water, electricity, internet, heating, all while I'm not home. I don't mind sharing bills if we both live there, but I already pay the mortgage, property taxes, and HOA fees myself. This place is mine legally and financially. If he moved in, I'd expect him to contribute to utilities, groceries, and maybe a small percentage toward the mortgage or rent. But we haven't gotten into those details yet, because honestly, I'm scared to open that can of worms. What I do know is that if he's there 24/7, the burden of home upkeep is going to fall on me even harder. Because even when he could do more, he doesn't notice the little things. The crumbs on the counter, the recycling piling up, the sheets that need changing. He'll just step over it. The mom factor. I think a big part of this is that Alex has lived with his parents for so long. His mom, Linda, is the definition of a caretaker. She does his laundry, cooks his meals, folds his clothes, reminds him of appointments. She's a lovely woman, but she babies him. And while Alex is great at his job, funny, kind, and smart, when it comes to household and emotional labor, he's inexperienced, to put it kindly. I've seen glimpses of this dynamic before. When he comes over, sometimes he'll call out to me like, "Hey babe, where's the olive oil?" while standing in front of the cabinet. Or, "Did you wash my jeans yet?" Instead of checking the basket himself. These seem small, but they add up. And I worry that if he moves in, I'll basically inherit the role of his mom, my hesitation. Here's the thing. I love Alex, I do. We've shared so many years together. He supported me through grad school, job changes, and family drama. He's thoughtful in his own ways. Like, he'll bring me coffee in bed sometimes, or fix something on my computer without me asking. But I can't shake the feeling that letting him move in means sacrificing my peace and independence in my own home. This condo is the first space in my life that feels truly mine, and I'm terrified of resenting him. If he doesn't step up on top of that, he isn't the most emotionally intelligent guy. When I try to explain my concerns, he gets defensive. He'll say things like, "You're making me sound like a child," or "You're just too picky." Instead of listening, he feels attacked, and maybe I am too picky. Maybe I've gotten used to living alone and having total control. Maybe moving in with anyone would feel like giving up some of that. But still, I can't shake the image of myself a year from now. Cleaning up after him, nagging him about chores, feeling more like his mom than his partner. So Reddit. Should I let Alex move in? Am I overthinking this, or is my gut telling me something I need to listen to? I want a future with him, but I also want to protect the life I've built for myself. And I don't know if those two things are compatible right now. Any advice, practical, emotional, or otherwise, would be appreciated. Update. Should I let my boyfriend move in with me? Hi everyone, it's me again. I didn't expect my original post to get as much traction as it did. I read every comment, all 1,500 plus of them. And I've been sitting with your words. A lot of you said I wasn't being too picky. I was seeing red flags. Others suggested having a brutally honest conversation with Alex about expectations before making any decision. Well, I had that conversation. And wow, the talkie brought it up one night when Alex was over for dinner. I made tacos, which, side note, he left all the dishes for me to wash later, but more on that. After we ate, I told him, "Alex, we need to talk about what moving in would look like, practically finances, chores, everything, because I don't want to feel like I'm taking on more work just by living with you." He kind of froze, fork halfway to his mouth. Then he laughed nervously and said, "Babe, you're making it sound like I'm some slacker roommate. I'm your boyfriend." I told him that being my boyfriend doesn't automatically make him a good roommate, and that living together is different than dating. He looked genuinely taken aback. I pushed through. "If you move in, you'll be in this condo way more than me since you WFH. That means more utilities, more upkeep. I need to know you'll contribute, fairly, with money and with effort." He immediately asked, "How much money are we talking?" So I laid it out. I told him I wasn't expecting him to pay half my mortgage. The condo is mine legally, and I don't think it's fair to have him build equity in something that's only in my name. But I said he should contribute toward utilities, groceries, and maybe a set rent amount that goes into a house fund for repairs, new furniture, stuff we both use. I suggested $600 a month. That covers about half of groceries, internet, electricity, plus a bit extra. He looked at me like I'd asked for a kidney. 600? That's insane. I don't even pay that much living at home. Why should I basically pay your bills when this is your place? I reminded him that if he rented anywhere else, he'd be paying at least double that. He said, "Yeah, but if I rent somewhere else, it's mine. Here, I'm just a guest." And that was my light bulb moment. The guest mindset, that single word, guest, hit me hard. Because that's exactly how he acts in my condo now. Like he's at a hotel where things magically get done. I told him, "Alex, if you see yourself as a guest in my home, then you're not ready to move in with me. I'm not inviting a guest to stay permanently. I want a partner." He got defensive. "That's not what I meant. Of course I want to be your partner. I just don't want to feel like I'm being taken advantage of. Let that sink in." I clean. I cook. I wash his clothes. I host him multiple nights a week. I've offered him a below-market rent situation. and he's the one being taken advantage of? The laundry repeat, as if the universe wanted to rub it in. Another laundry situation happened that same week. He stayed over Sunday night, had a meeting Monday morning, and realized too late that his favorite dress shirt was dirty. He asked me to quick wash it before bed. I said, "You know where the washer is, go for it." He looked at me like I'd spoken another language. "You want me to do it?" "Yes, Alex, you're 28 years old. You can wash one shirt." He sighed, put it in the machine, and then literally asked me step by step how to set it. He's used a washing machine before, but he acted like it was rocket science. He didn't even check the dryer lint trap until I reminded him. I know it's such a small thing, but watching him fumble with basic laundry made me picture the rest of our life together. Me doing all the invisible labor. Him standing around waiting to be told what to do. My breaking point. The real breaking point came last weekend. We went grocery shopping together because I thought, let's practice splitting chores. We filled 2 carts. I paid at checkout. When we got home, I asked him to help unload. He carried in 1 bag, set it on the counter, then flopped onto the couch, scrolling TikTok, while I put everything away. I asked, "Can you help me with the rest?" His response, "I thought you had a system for where everything goes." That was it. That was the moment I knew, because he wasn't wrong. I do have a system. I'm organized. I like order. But instead of asking me to teach him or just trying, he opted out completely. I stood there staring at him. This man I've loved for 7 years, and all I could think was, I cannot be with someone who opts out of life like this. What I told him the next morning. I told Alex flat out, "I don't think you should move in with me. Not now. Maybe not ever. I don't want to resent you. And if we live together right now, I will." He got quiet. Then he said, "So that's it? You're choosing your condo over me?" I told him it wasn't about choosing my condo. It was about choosing the kind of relationship I want. I want a partner who notices when the trash is full, who takes initiative, who doesn't expect me to mother him. He didn't yell. He didn't argue. He just got up, packed his overnight bag, and left. We haven't spoken much since a couple of texts. Nothing deep. I think we both know this might be the beginning of the end where I'm at now. I'm heartbroken, but also lighter. For the first time in months, my condo feels like my safe space again. No dirty socks on the floor, no half-empty water bottles scattered around, no mental load of worrying about what he will or won't do. I don't know what's next for us. Maybe we'll work it out. Maybe this is the breakup that's been years in the making. What I do know is this. Your comments opened my eyes. You made me realize I'm not crazy for wanting a true partner, not just someone who warms the other side of the bed, so thank you, Reddit. Truly. Final update. Should I let my boyfriend move in with me? Hi again, everyone. I wasn't sure if I'd post again, but I feel like this is a story that deserves an ending. For me, and for all of you who followed along. It's been about 2 months since my last update. A lot has happened. And I've made some very big decisions. After the talk, after Alex walked out that morning, we didn't talk much for the first week. Just surface-level texts. "Hope you have a good day." Or, "Did you see that new Netflix show?" Nothing about the elephant in the room. I was hurting, but also relieved. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was managing someone else's life. I only had to manage mine, but the silence didn't last. The dinner about 10 days later, Alex asked if we could meet for dinner. He said he wanted to clear the air. We met at this little Italian place we've gone to since college. As soon as he sat down, I could tell he was nervous. He kept fiddling with the napkin, folding and unfolding it. He started with, "I've been thinking a lot since that night." "You're right. I haven't been pulling my weight." I braced myself. I'd heard versions of this before. The apology followed by a week of effort, then a slide back into old habits, but he kept going. "I don't want to lose you over something I can fix." So I signed up for therapy. I had my first session yesterday. That caught me off guard. Alex had always been resistant to therapy. Said it was overhyped. He explained that the therapist had already helped him realize he leaned too heavily on me because he grew up with his mom doing everything. He admitted he'd been lazy in love. I'll be honest. Hearing him take accountability softened me. For the first time, I felt like he was actually seeing what I'd been saying for years. We talked for hours. He cried. I cried. He asked if we could try again, not moving in, but working on the relationship. From where we were. I said yes, the trial run. The next few weeks were different. Alex started small. He cooked dinner twice a week when he stayed over. He actually cleaned up afterward without me asking. He took the trash out, even when it wasn't his. One night I came home to find him folding my laundry because, in his words, "You always do mine, so I wanted to return the favor." It was like dating a new person. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't waiting for the other shoe to drop. The slip, sure enough. About a month in, old habits crept back. One night, after work, I walked into my condo and saw the coffee table covered in takeout containers. Alex was on the couch, headphones on, gaming. He didn't even notice me come in. When I finally said, "Hey, are you going to clean this up?" He sighed, paused his game and said, "Babe, I was going to." Don't nag me. There it was. The word that makes my blood boil. Nag. I reminded him calmly that asking for basic respect isn't nagging. He apologized, but the old frustration bubbled. Back that night I lay awake thinking, do I want to keep doing this dance for the rest of my life? The real decision, a week later, I had my answer. We were at my friend Melissa's birthday party. Everyone was chatting, laughing, catching up. At one point, Melissa's husband started bragging in a sweet way about how she'd been pulling long hours at work. So he'd been handling dinners and school drop-offs for their kids without missing a beat. Alex joked, "Wow, Melissa, you're lucky. If it were me, I'd be ordering pizza every night until she quit." The table laughed politely, but my stomach dropped because that was it. That was who he is. Therapy or not, temporary effort or not. Deep down he saw partnership as optional. I don't want optional, I want equal. The breakup? 2 days later, I ended things. It wasn't dramatic. I told him I loved him, but I needed a partner who didn't see chores as charity or emotional labor as optional. He teared up and begged me to reconsider, said he could change. But the truth was, I didn't want to keep waiting for him to change. We'd spent 7 years together, 7 years where I carried the invisible load, 7 years where I hoped he'd get it, and he hadn't. I realized that staying with him wasn't just about fear of losing him. It was fear of starting over. And fear isn't love, so I let him go. Where I am now. It's been 3 weeks since the breakup. It's hard. The silence in my condo feels different now. Heavier. I miss the little things, like him humming while brushing his teeth or stealing my blankets at night. But then I look around at my space, my clean, peaceful, managed space, and I feel something else. Freedom. I'm grieving. Yes. But I'm also rediscovering who I am when I'm not managing someone else's adulthood, and that, honestly, feels like the beginning of something better. Final thoughts. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Love is not enough. You can love someone deeply and still not be compatible for the kind of life you want. Alex isn't a bad person. He has good qualities, and maybe therapy will help him grow into the partner someone else needs. But I finally realized I don't have to wait around hoping he'll become the person I need, so, no, I didn't let my boyfriend move in. And in the end, I didn't keep him at all, and for the first time I think that's okay. Stories number 3. My sister accused me of embarrassing her in front of her friend when I offered pads and tampons. I 19 never thought something as simple as trying to be considerate could blow up into a family drama. But here we are. Let me back up. When I moved into my apartment last year, one of the first things my mom said to me was, "Always keep some pads and tampons in the bathroom. You never know when a guest might need them, and you don't want someone in distress without a solution." It made sense. I grew up with a mom and an older sister, so periods were never treated as some taboo subject. They were just part of life. So yeah, along with the toilet paper, toothpaste, and Advil, I bought a pack of pads and tampons and stashed them under my bathroom sink. They'd mostly gone untouched, but I felt good knowing they were there. Fast forward to this weekend. The setup: my sister, Amanda 21F, texted me on Friday asking if she and her friend Rachel 24F could come over to hang out. They'd both had a rough week and wanted to chill somewhere cozy. I said sure. For context, I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. My roommate, Ryan 20M, also lives there. He's my boyfriend. Though my sister doesn't know we're together yet. We've been dating for over a year, but Amanda is, let's just say, traditional. She still thinks Ryan and I are just best friends, splitting rent. Anyway, Amanda and Rachel showed up around 7. We ordered takeout, poured some drinks, and put on music. It was relaxed and fun. Amanda and Rachel were laughing. I was making terrible margaritas, and Ryan texted that he'd join us later after finishing a late shift. About an hour in, Rachel excused herself to use the bathroom. No big deal. The whispering. When Rachel came back, though, I noticed she looked off. She was holding her arms tightly across her stomach and whispered something into Amanda's ear. Amanda immediately sat up straighter and gave me this weird look, like she didn't want me to notice. Then Amanda announced, "Hey, I think we're gonna head out." This threw me. For one, both had been drinking. Not crazy drunk, but definitely not safe-to-drive levels. And our original plan was for them to crash at my place anyway. I'd even prepped the extra blankets and pillows, so I asked, "Wait, why?" "It's late." "You know I don't like people driving after drinking." Amanda waved me off. "It's fine, don't worry about it. We'll just go." "No," I said firmly. "If it's that urgent, at least wait until Ryan gets here so he can drive. Or I'll call you an Uber." Amanda groaned. "It's not a big deal, just give me my car keys." For reference, when people drink at my place, I keep their car keys in a bowl on top of the fridge. It's my house rule. No drunk driving. Amanda knows this, and she's usually fine with it. But this time, she was practically demanding I hand them over. Reveal I stood my ground. "No, not until you tell me what's going on. If it's an emergency, I'll help however I can, but I'm not letting you drive like this." Finally, Rachel spoke up, clearly embarrassed. I started my period. "Okay? I don't have anything with me, I just want to go home." It clicked instantly. So I told her, "Hey, it's okay. Don't stress, I actually keep pads and tampons in the bathroom under the sink. You're welcome to them. And if you want to shower, feel free, I've got extra sweats you can borrow while your clothes wash." Rachel looked surprised, then relieved. She thanked me quietly and slipped back into the bathroom. Meanwhile, Amanda stared at me like I'd just committed a crime. The hospitality. While Rachel was showering, I tidied up the living room, I put away the drinks, made a bowl of popcorn, and even started some hot chocolate. My thought was, why not turn this into a cozy movie night while Rachel's clothes dried and Ryan made his way over? It seemed like the considerate thing to do. When Rachel came out, she was wearing a pair of my joggers and one of my old college hoodies. She looked a lot more relaxed. She thanked me again, saying she really appreciated how I handled things. But Amanda? Oh boy, she was fuming. The accusation. As soon as Rachel stepped into the kitchen, Amanda hissed at me, "What the hell was that?" I blinked. "What do you mean?" "You completely embarrassed her. You don't just announce stuff like that. That's a female problem. You made it awkward." I was floored. "I didn't announce anything, I was just trying to help." "She literally told me what was wrong." Amanda rolled her eyes. "You're a guy. You have no place talking about periods, let alone stocking pads and tampons. It's creepy." I laughed in disbelief. "Creepy? Seriously? They're just hygiene products, I keep them for guests." "That's it." Amanda lowered her voice further and spat. "Don't think I don't see what you're doing. You're trying to impress Rachel. She's not that kind of girl. She's not going to sleep with you just because you stock tampons." I swear my jaw dropped. "Are you insane?" "I have zero interest in Rachel like that. I was literally just trying to make her comfortable." "Why would you twist it like that?" Amanda didn't answer. She just folded her arms and sulked for the rest of the night. The aftermath. When Ryan got home, the tension was obvious. He tried to lighten the mood, joking about how the apartment smelled like popcorn and margaritas, but Amanda stayed prickly. Eventually, she insisted that she and Rachel still leave. Ryan drove them home to make sure they got there safely. Later that night, Amanda texted me a wall of messages about how I crossed a line, how I humiliated her friend, and how she was disgusted that I even had pads and tampons in my bathroom. She repeated the "you must be trying to sleep with Rachel" accusation. I didn't reply. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Rachel. It was short, but sweet. "Hey, thank you again for last night. You made me feel comfortable and safe. I'm sorry Amanda gave you such a hard time. You didn't embarrass me at all. That message meant the world to me where I stand now. So here's my dilemma. Was I wrong to step in? Should I, as Amanda claims, stay out of women's problems and not keep pads and tampons on hand? Did I unintentionally embarrass Rachel by acknowledging it? I genuinely don't see how being prepared and offering help was wrong. But Amanda's reaction shook me. She made me feel like I'd crossed some invisible line, and part of me worries. If she finds out Ryan and I are together, she's going to twist that into something dramatic too. So Reddit, did I do the right thing? Or did I screw up? Update. My sister accused me of embarrassing her friend when I offered pads, tampons. Hey Reddit. It's been a couple of weeks since I posted about the whole situation with my sister Amanda 21F and her friend Rachel 24F. A lot happened since then, and I honestly didn't expect this much fallout over something I thought was just me trying to be considerate. For anyone who didn't see my original post, I 19M keep pads and tampons in my apartment for guests. My sister and her friend were hanging out at my place. Rachel unexpectedly started her period, and I offered her the supplies plus a shower, sweats, and to do her laundry. Rachel was fine with it, but Amanda flipped out and accused me of embarrassing Rachel, crossing boundaries, and even suggested I was trying to sleep with Rachel. I left off wondering if I really messed up, or if Amanda was just projecting. Well, buckle up one. The family blow-up. A few days after the original incident, Amanda decided to escalate. I woke up to about 10 missed calls from my mom, and a text saying, "Call me ASAP. What did you say to your sister and her friend?" Turns out Amanda had gone crying to my mom, telling her that I'd humiliated Rachel, made inappropriate comments about periods, and had suspiciously stocked feminine products in my bathroom. She framed it like I was being creepy and inserting myself into women's business. When I finally called my mom, she was already on Amanda's side. Mom, why would you embarrass your sister's friend like that? And why are you even buying tampons? You don't need those. Me. Because I live with women in my life. Because it's considerate. Because one day someone might need them. Which is exactly what happened. I explained the whole night in detail. How Rachel herself told me what was going on. How she looked relieved when I offered the pads and tampons. How she even texted me the next morning thanking me. Silence on the phone. Then Mom said, "Well, that doesn't sound like what Amanda told me." Rachel steps in. The universe must have been on my side because that same day, Rachel texted me again. She said, "Amanda's been blowing up my phone about the other night. She keeps apologizing on your behalf, saying you were inappropriate. Just so you know, I don't think you embarrassed me at all. If anything, I thought you were respectful. Honestly, it was way less awkward than going home in a rush." I asked if she'd be willing to tell that to my mom, because Amanda was painting me as some creep. Rachel said yes, so I looped them together on a call. Me, Mom, and Rachel. Rachel very calmly told my mom, "Your son was nothing but respectful. He didn't make me feel uncomfortable. He gave me options and I appreciated it. If anything, I felt more comfortable knowing he had stuff on hand." That basically shut Mom down. She half apologized to me, but then pivoted into her classic line, "Well, I just don't want you upsetting your sister." So Amanda avoided accountability completely, and I got another lecture about keeping the peace. Amanda doubles down after that call. I figured things would calm down. Nope. Amanda started this weird smear campaign. She told a few of our cousins and even some mutual friends that I keep tampons to bait women into my apartment. I wish I were exaggerating. One of my cousins, Lily 22F, texted me confused, saying, "Wait, Amanda told me you stock tampons to lure girls? Is she serious?" I just replied with, "Yeah, and I also keep toilet paper. Does that mean I'm luring people to poop here too?" Lily cracked up and said Amanda was being ridiculous. Thankfully, most of the family saw through it once. Rachel backed me up, but it left a bad taste in my mouth. Amanda wasn't just mad. She was actively trying to make me look predatory. Ryan gets involved up until now. My boyfriend Ryan 20M, aka my roommate in Amanda's eyes, had been staying out of it. But when he saw how much stress this was causing me, he finally stepped in. Ryan told me flat out, You need to set boundaries with Amanda. She's making up lies, and if she ever finds out about us, she's going to spin it even worse. You can't keep walking on eggshells." That hit hard, because Ryan's right. Amanda has no clue we're dating. She thinks we're just best friends living together. And if she's already accusing me of creepy motives just for having tampons in the bathroom, I can't imagine how she'd react if she found out I was gay and living with my boyfriend. It scared me, honestly. The confrontation last weekend, Amanda came over again, this time without Rachel. She walked in acting like nothing had happened, but then immediately started snooping around the apartment, looking in the kitchen, the bathroom, even Ryan's room. Finally, I snapped me. "What are you looking for, Amanda?" "Just making sure you didn't stock up on more tampons to impress girls." That was it, I lost it. I told her, "Amanda, enough. I'm done being accused of things I didn't do. Rachel already told you I didn't embarrass her. She even told Mom you're the only one still making this an issue. You need to stop twisting everything I do into something creepy." She got defensive. "You don't get it. Guys don't talk about periods, it's weird." I shot back. "No, you don't get it. Periods aren't shameful. They're not some taboo topic. Stocking hygiene products is just basic human decency. If that embarrasses you, that's your problem, not mine." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. 6. The aftermath. Since that fight, Amanda hasn't spoken to me. Mom keeps telling me to just apologize to smooth things over, but I don't feel like I should apologize for literally being considerate. Rachel, on the other hand, has checked in on me multiple times and even joked that I'm a better feminist than half the guys she's dated. Ryan has been amazing through all this. He told me he's proud of me for standing my ground, but he also thinks I should be careful. Amanda clearly has a habit of turning small things into big scandals, and if she finds out about us before I'm ready to tell her, yeah, it could get ugly. Where I stand now, I still keep the pads and tampons in the bathroom. Rachel and I actually became better friends because of this. She invited Ryan and me to a trivia night with her co-workers, and it was fun. Amanda and I, we're not in a great place, but I'm realizing that maybe that's okay. Boundaries are boundaries. I'm still torn, though part of me wants to repair things with Amanda, but another part of me feels like I shouldn't have to keep apologizing for things that aren't wrong. So yeah, that's the update. What I thought was a simple act of kindness spiraled into family drama, accusations, and a confrontation I never wanted to have. But at least I know now, I wasn't the problem. And if anyone reading this is on the fence about keeping pads and tampons at their place, do it. Be the person who has them. If someone like Amanda thinks it's weird, that's on them, not you. Final update. My sister accused me of embarrassing her friend when I offered pads, tampons. Hey Reddit. Back one last time. It's been about 3 months since I last updated, and a lot has happened. Some good, some messy, but I think I finally have closure. 1. The silent treatment didn't last. After our blowout fight, Amanda and I went a solid month without talking. No texts, no calls, nothing. Mom kept playing middleman, constantly telling me, "She's your sister. Don't let pride ruin the relationship." But honestly, that silence was peaceful. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't on edge worrying about Amanda spinning my actions into something sketchy. Then, out of nowhere, Amanda showed up at my apartment unannounced. Ryan was home and I panicked because I hadn't prepped for a potential Amanda meltdown. She walked in, saw Ryan cooking dinner, and just froze. Her first words, "Wait, do you guys live together, or are you like, together?" Yeah, that moment too. The truth comes out. I've been dreading this conversation for a long time, but something in me snapped. I was tired of hiding Ryan, tired of walking on eggshells around Amanda's judgments, so I just said it. "We're together. Ryan's my boyfriend. He's not just my roommate." Amanda's face went through about 6 emotions in 3 seconds. Shock, disbelief, annoyance, and finally that smug look she gets when she thinks she's caught someone. Her response, "So, that's why you buy tampons, to cover up the fact you don't have girls here." Ryan actually laughed out loud. It broke the tension, but it also pissed Amanda off. She stormed out again. Rachel intervenes again. Not even a week later, Rachel texted me saying Amanda had gone on a rant to her about finding out her brother was gay and lying to everyone. Rachel asked if she could come over to check on me, and when she did, she admitted something I didn't expect. Apparently, Amanda had been jealous the night of the tampon incident. Rachel said Amanda told her later that she hates when people think her little brother is more mature than her. That's why she spun it into something creepy, because she couldn't handle me looking like the considerate one hearing that was both sad and validating. Rachel also told me she's proud of me for standing up to Amanda, and she made it clear again that I never embarrassed her. If anything, Amanda embarrassed herself. The family dinner showdown, the real final boss battle, came at a family dinner last month. It was my mom's birthday, and she invited all of us, including Amanda and Rachel. Things were fine at first, but then Amanda made a snide comment about Ryan finally getting to meet the family as my roommate. Ryan squeezed my hand under the table, and I decided enough was enough. I said loud enough for the whole table. Actually, Ryan isn't just my roommate. He's my boyfriend. We've been together for over a year. Dead silence. Then Rachel chimed in. And he's been a better gentleman than half the guys I've dated. The tension broke when my dad chuckled and said, "Well, Ryan, welcome to the family. You make a mean lasagna, so you're good in my book." Amanda sulked the rest of the night, but nobody jumped to her side this time. Even Mom just sighed and said she was happy. I felt comfortable enough to share where things stand now. Amanda, we're not super close right now. She sends the occasional text, but it's shallow stuff like, "Happy birthday," or TikTok links. Honestly, I'm okay with that distance. I love her, but I can't keep letting her insecurities dictate how I live. Rachel. Funny enough, Rachel became one of Ryan's and my closest friends. We hang out regularly now, and she even jokes that she owes me a period tampon friendship. Mom and Dad. They've been surprisingly supportive since the dinner. Mom's still a little awkward about it, but she hasn't tried to sweep it under the rug, like I expected. Dad and Ryan bond over cooking, which I think helps me and Ryan stronger than ever. The whole ordeal weirdly brought us closer. Ryan told me he's proud of how I handled everything, and I finally feel like I don't have to hide anymore. Final thoughts. What started as me just trying to be considerate spiraled into family drama, accusations, and forced me to come out in a way I didn't plan. But you know what? I'm glad it happened, because now my family knows the real me. Amanda's narrative fell apart once Rachel and others stood up. And I learned that sometimes setting boundaries means letting people be uncomfortable with the truth. And yes, the pads and tampons are still in my bathroom. Still unopened since the last time Rachel used them. Still exactly where they belong. If anything, they're now a symbol to me. A reminder that kindness isn't weakness, and that no amount of insecurity-fueled drama can change that. So thanks, Reddit, for reassuring me I wasn't crazy. I'm ending this story finally at peace. Stories number 4. My son will inherit. His affair baby will receive nothing. My name is Emily, 26, and I have a 5-year-old son. My ex-husband, 29, cheated on me with his co-worker, Bethany, 28. I was 2 months pregnant with our second child. When I found out Bethany was going to have his child, I miscarried. My ex left the house to be with her. It's been 2 years since it was born. My mother-in-law has been supportive of me and has had nothing to do with my ex or his mistress and their child. Up until a few months ago, I adore my in-laws, and we're extremely close. My ML and parents are the best of friends. She loves me and her grandson more than anything. This infuriates my ex-husband's affair partner. My in-laws cut contact with them straight away. Bethany was jealous that her child would never know the love of grandparents. At least her son has a father. This brings us to the problem. Unfortunately, my MIL has been very ill for a while, and so she's updated her will. My ex-husband was an only child, so he would get everything. But now, my son will inherit her house, villa, and money. I will receive a large portion of her money, and all of her belongings. Until my son turns 18, it will be in my trust. If I pass before that, my parents will take care of it. They do not know this. The thing is, once they caught wind of her being ill, my ex-husband begged for forgiveness. The mistress started being nice towards her. She started fights and called her horrible names before, and forced her to be around his baby. My mother-in-law is bedbound, but she says she wants to leave with a bang, so she'll endure this. I haven't encouraged her to do anything, and this is her choice alone. They want her money, and her son thinks he is still included in the will. He also thinks his child will now be acknowledged by his grandmother, and will also receive money. Now, my MIL hasn't actually said she's forgiven them. She despises her son and his mistress for tearing apart our family. She wants to reward those who deserve it, and get revenge in one go. The mistress keeps on hinting on how her child will grow up, and attend a great college, etc. Money-involved things whenever she's around my MIL. Actually, Mill's niece, my cousin by marriage, has overheard her on the phone discussing what wallpaper she wants in the dining room when she moves in, and how my Mill has no taste whatsoever. She also mentioned how she'll finally be able to take down pictures of my son when my ex owns the house. Too bad for her. It will belong to my son. No changes will be made until my son becomes 18. It's his grandmother's home, and he should be allowed to cherish it in the way she's decorated it. I'm not really allowed to tell anyone, and though this revenge will be satisfying, I'll have to lose my mother-in-law. It's kind of a win-lose situation, and I dread the day when she'll take her last breath. She means a lot to me. I love her. She wants this for her grandson, and has said that she cannot rest until she knows her son and his mistress have been punished. She wants this because her childhood was also ruined because of her father and his affair partner. She wants my son to know he was loved, and will always be loved. I hope my son will always value the great women in his life. I wish he had more time with his grandmother. I might make an update if anyone wants it, though I pray to God it's a long time before that edit. I thought this post would attract just a handful of people, but wow! Thank you all for listening to me and giving me advice. As for those who are angry at me for not asking my MIL to include my ex's new child, I can't do anything about that. Yes, I'm happy, and that's selfish, but I'm going to put myself and my son first. That child contributed to my miscarriage, and is one of the reasons why my son has not had a father for over 2 years. I can't change my MIL's mind about him. I do pity the baby, but it's not up to me to fend for it. It's not my responsibility. I've tried talking to my MIL, but she's had her whole childhood ruined because her father made his affair. Children his top priority. This is why she wants nothing to do with it, or her son. He knows that she went through so much because of cheaters, yet he decided to do the same to her. He has seen his grandfather favor his aunt and uncle over his mother. If this happened to you, you wouldn't be so happy about sharing yet. Another thing with the baby. Thank you again to those who have listened to me, and I've read out the nice comments to my MIL. We've had a great laugh together. Edit 2. The mistress would send me photos of her ultrasounds after I miscarried, either to me or to my family. In the first envelope, she sent a letter full of the nastiest things about me, my son, and my miscarried baby. She'd even tagged me on social media on an account I didn't know about. It was an invitation to her baby shower. She has done plenty of disgusting and hurtful things to me regarding my miscarried baby. The people who are coming at me in the comments would not be as civil as me if anything like that happened to them. Ignoring her child is honestly the best option. I do not want my son to grow up with her son. And to those who are insulting and saying rude things about my dying mother-in-law, you are truly disgusting. Stories number 5. AITA 4. Not wanting the puppy my BF bought for my birthday present? For context, I 27F have always had pets. Dogs, cats, even birds that fell from their nests. I also rescued and rehomed tons of animals, but I've never kept a male pet. My mom didn't like them because of the whole peeing everywhere thing, and I guess I just got used to only having girl pets. Plus, I love using my dogs like pillows, and I'll admit the doggy boy parts that are always a little too present makes me uncomfortable. Anyway, I've had my dog, let's call her Luna, since I was 17. She's my baby, and she 100% rules my life. She's not really friendly with kids, other dogs, or most men, but she at least kinda likes my boyfriend 31M of 2 years. So my birthday was a couple weeks ago. My boyfriend told me he had a surprise, but it wasn't ready yet. Last Friday, I came home from work and found him in my apartment with a 2-month-old-ish German Shepherd male puppy that he bought, complete with a balloon tied to its collar that said, "Happy Birthday." He smiled and said, "Do you like him? He's our new son." I was shocked. The only words that came out were, "Where's Luna?" He had locked my dog in the bathroom because she growled at the puppy. I was furious. We argued for about 2 hours. I told him to take the puppy back with him and not to come back. He yelled some more and called me a misandrist before leaving, because apparently not wanting male pets chucked hating men. He also said I was weird for being uncomfortable around dog peepees. When I told my friends and family, everyone sided with me. However, my boyfriend keeps sending me videos of the puppy, saying he doesn't know what to do with it since his apartment doesn't allow pets, especially one that would grow so much, and begging me to take it just until he finds accommodations. He says I owe him because he spent so much money on the puppy and was planning the puppy to live with me anyway. But I don't want the puppy. My current dog definitely wouldn't accept him, and in the videos I can already see how destructive he's becoming. In the other hand, the poor puppy is innocent in all this. Should I just suck it up and keep him with me until my boyfriend, we technically didn't broke up yet, finds somewhere else to take him? Also, the puppy represent everything I don't want in a pet. I feel like he just bought himself a dog but don't really want to take care of it. So he acted like the puppy was my birthday present. So, AITA for refusing to accept the puppy? Should I just take him in for a while? Edit to clarify some things. Some people seem to think I'm obsessed with dogs' genitalia and LOL. I'm not. The issues with the puppy ranking are, I don't want another dog because I have a dog. I don't want to raise a puppy ever again. I don't want to own a dog that was bought. I don't like large breeds. I don't want a male dog because I prefer female dogs. The only reason I included that I don't like dog penis is because I don't want to have that in my house. I don't lose sleep over it, but I prefer the smooth belly female dogs have. What I told my BF was something along the lines of, "You disregard everything I believe in a pet to the extent that you even brought a male dog when I told you it wasn't my intention to even own one." Then he called me weird and misandrist. That's the only reason I included that part in my post, but in my attempt to keep everything short, I didn't include all that. And for the people telling me to grow up and say penis, there it is. I wasn't sure if I was able to say that. My only knowledge of Reddit were videos on TikTok with a bad gameplay of Subway Surfers in the back. So there's that. If you want me to clarify something else, please let me know. And one but not the only reason I don't particularly like male dogs, it's because my uncle had one male Rottweiler. Very aggressive, and one time at my grandma's house he jumped me. I was like 5'6" and tried to hump my face with his red socket all out. And yes, it freaked me out. My grandma had to get rid of the dog after that. She had a large property in another city. There is where they took him because nobody wanted their kids near the dog after that. So there it is, the backstory update. I didn't want to update before talking to both my therapist and psychiatrist. But here we go. First of all, puppy is fine. The day after my original post, my neighbor texted me around 2 p.m. because she heard loud noises from my apartment. She has a spare key. She and Luna are besties, and often go on walks when she works from home, so she offered to check. Turns out puppy was inside, and Luna was just sitting on the couch, glaring at the puppy like she was personally offended. I told my boss I had a family emergency and rushed home. My neighbor had been entertaining the puppy, but my apartment was trashed. She agreed to take the puppy for a few hours while I cleaned. I realized a lot of the mess didn't look like it was the puppy. Some of the papers seemed sheared and not a single teeth mark. I went to building management, and they showed me camera footage. My ex-boyfriend walking in with the puppy, staying 20 minutes and leaving. I had them remove him from the visitor list, and they even offered to change my locks. I panicked a little and called my mom, who told me to either call my godfather or find a local shelter. My godfather told he'd call his friends, many of whom have large breed experience. Meanwhile, my neighbor brought the puppy back, tired from the park. Thanks God, I'll admit. He was adorable. A few hours later, my godfather called to say one of his friends, a German Shepherd lover with 2 already, wanted to adopt him. Puppy's name is Kai now, and apparently my godfather's friend has ton of experience training big breeds. As for my ex, I decided to call his mom because I still had him blocked. She called and told him to come visit her the next day, and I went to talk it through. If you guessed, he was jealous of Luna. He wanted to move in with me. He thought Luna wasn't manly enough and that a German Shepherd would make me see reason. His plan was basically, I'd find 2 dogs too much work, and I'd get over my obsession with Luna by leaving her with my mom, yes. Really, his own mom told him she was disappointed, and that she didn't raise him to be sneaky and selfish. I told him we were done, and that Kai had already been rehomed to a loving family. He tried to get mad about me rehoming his dog, Iwi, but his reminded him that Puppy was a gift, and I could do whatever with him. I hugged her goodbye and haven't spoken to him since. I also talked this through with both my therapist and psychiatrist. I talked to them about the whole situation, and both agreed separately that having preference is not wrong, and as long as I'm not harming animals because of their sex, there's nothing wrong with not wanting them. Right now I'm at my mom's house with Luna, using some PTO to rest and recover. This whole thing was exhausting, but at least it ended with Kai in a good home and one less toxic boyfriend in my life. LOL Stories number 6. My husband keeps demanding I pack his lunches, and it's becoming a breaking point, so I never thought I'd end up writing one of these. But here we are. I, 34F, have been married to my husband, Eric, 36M, for almost 10 years. We have 2 kids, a daughter, 8, and a son, 6, plus our youngest son, Noah, 4, who is disabled and requires a lot of extra care. For context, I am Noah's paid caretaker, so technically I have a job, but it's not like I clock in and clock out. It's literally 24/7, because he's my child, and everything from medical appointments, therapy, and day-to-day care falls on me. Eric works in IT and commutes over an hour each way to his office. He leaves around 6:30 a.m., gets home after 6 p.m. most nights, and I'll give him credit. He's a hard worker. He's the one who keeps our health insurance and steady paycheck flowing, and I respect that. But where we constantly clash is over money. The financial tension. We've had the same argument on repeat for years now. We need to cut back. We need to save more. Eric says this every couple of weeks, usually when bills pile up or when we're looking at the grocery budget. But here's the thing. For years, he's been buying coffee and lunch every single day at work. We're talking Starbucks runs in the morning and $12, $15 lunches at restaurants or takeout spots near his office. Meanwhile, I don't spend money on much for myself. I cook and eat at home. I cut corners wherever possible. The only real thing I splurge on is getting my hair done every 6 weeks. And even that, Eric has complained about, to the point where I told him I'd just start box dyeing it at home if it really bothers him. Whenever I bring up his daily spending, Eric fires back with, "Well, you're home all day. You could pack me a lunch that would solve the problem." The lunch fight. This is where it gets messy. He's not asking me to pack his lunch, he's expecting it. His argument is that because I'm home and he's working, it should fall under my responsibilities. But here's the reality. My days are slammed. I wake up, get the kids fed, pack their school bags, coordinate with the bus, drive Noah to therapy sessions and appointments, clean the house, do laundry, prep dinner, do dishes, handle paperwork, and case management for Noah's care, and shuttle the kids to extracurricular. There are days where I don't sit down until 9 p.m. and yet, Eric still acts like I just lounge around. He'll say things like, "It takes 2 minutes to slap a sandwich together. You already packed the kids' lunches, just add one more. If you have time to watch TV at night, you have time to make me food." The irony is, I don't pack the kids' lunches daily. The school provides meals for our older 2. I only do special lunches occasionally. And even then, Eric has never once helped with any of that. The straw that broke the camel's back. Last week, after another heated conversation about money, Eric came home furious because his debit card declined at Starbucks. Turned out the account was low because I had just paid Noah's therapy bill out of pocket before insurance reimburses us. He snapped, "If you would just pack my lunch like a normal wife, we wouldn't be in this situation." I lost it. Like full shaky voice, I'm done holding back. Lost it, I told him, I am not his mother. He is a grown man who is fully capable of putting bread, turkey, and cheese together. If he cared so much about money, maybe he should look in the mirror at his daily habits before pointing the finger at me. And that the mental load I carry for this family far outweighs the 20 minutes he spends in the car each morning. He went quiet for a while, but later that night he doubled down. He said I was being selfish and making things harder than they need to be, because all I had to do was throw some food in a bag. Why this matters so much to me, it's not about the sandwich. It's about respect. I feel like Eric doesn't see the weight I carry every single day. The appointments, the therapies, the cleaning, the childcare, the emotional load of parenting a disabled child while still making sure our other two kids get enough attention and love. I don't want to pack his lunch, not because I can't, but because I shouldn't have to. He's a grown adult. He eats lunch out of convenience, not survival. And the kicker? Even on days when I've packed him leftovers before, half the time he leaves the container in his car until it molds. So I stopped wasting the effort where I'm stuck. Now Eric's giving me the cold shoulder. He keeps sighing, making passive-aggressive comments like, "Must be nice not to care about the family finances." Meanwhile, I feel like I'm going insane. On one hand, maybe I could just do it. It wouldn't kill me to throw together a sandwich or leftovers. But on the other hand, it feels like the principle matters more than the sandwich itself. Like if I give in on this, it's another way of him minimizing what I already do for this family. So, Reddit, am I wrong here? Should I just suck it up and pack his damn lunches for the sake of peace? Or is it fair to draw the line and say, "You're a grown man, make your own food," because right now, I feel like this is about way more than turkey. Sandwiches update. The lunch saga escalates. Hey Reddit. I wanted to give you all an update because things have gotten, well, let's just say more intense than I expected. After my last post, a few of you suggested I stick to my guns and let Eric handle his own lunches. That's exactly what I've been doing, and the reaction has been eye-opening. Eric tries to prove a point. The morning after our last argument, I intentionally didn't pack anything. Just my usual routine. Feed the kids, get Noah ready, pack the backpacks, and so on. Eric came downstairs, saw no lunch in the fridge, and froze. "Where's my lunch?" he asked, trying to keep his tone casual. I calmly replied, "You're a grown man. You're perfectly capable of making yourself a sandwich." He looked at me like I had just told him I'd sold his car over the next few days. He tried to pack his own lunch, and I'll admit, it was a mixed bag. One day he forgot to bring his lunch bag. Another day, he brought a Tupperware container with half-eaten leftovers from the night before, lid barely closed. And yet another day, he just skipped it entirely and ended up buying lunch at the deli across the street. At first, he grumbled loudly. He said things like, "You know, if someone just packed this for me, I wouldn't have to deal with it. I can't believe I have to do this now," and every time, I just smiled politely and walked away. The financial argument intensifies. Of course, this sparked another round of financial debates. Eric keeps bringing up his point about saving money. "See, if you just packed me a lunch, I'd save at least $50 a week." I pointed out, yet again, that his daily coffee habit and buying lunch out still outweigh anything I would spend on ingredients to make his sandwich. "But that's different," he said. "That's routine. That's part of my workday." I reminded him that my routine includes driving Noah to therapy twice a week, managing multiple doctor appointments, cleaning the house, cooking dinner, helping with homework, and emotionally supporting 3 kids. And that my routine is non-negotiable. He didn't really have a response. Instead, he just sighed, muttered something about me being too stubborn, and left for work. A turning point last week. Something interesting happened. Eric came home looking defeated, carrying a sad little lunch bag. I asked what happened, and he confessed, "I tried making my own lunch this week, and I realized just how much effort it actually takes. I guess I underestimated you." I didn't gloat. I just nodded. I think it was one of those rare moments where he actually saw, really saw, everything I do. Not just the cooking part, but the mental load of managing a household, a disabled child, and 2 other kids while keeping the family functioning. Small victories since then. Eric has started being more proactive. He's making his own lunches almost every day now. He even offered to make some of my lunches too, which I politely declined, but the gesture meant a lot. He's also been more thoughtful in other areas. Driving Noah to an extra therapy session without being asked, doing dishes after dinner, without complaint, offering to fold laundry or prep breakfast on busy mornings. I won't say it's perfect, We still argue occasionally, but the tone in the house has definitely shifted. My personal reflection. Honestly, this whole lunch thing was never really about sandwiches. It was about boundaries, respect, and recognition. I realized I can't continue to let Eric minimize the daily work I do for this family, no matter how small it may seem to him. And from what I've seen over the past couple of weeks, sticking to my principles has forced him to grow a little, which is nice. 6. The kids' funny side note. The kids have noticed too. My daughter, Ella 8, keeps saying, "Dad's making his own lunch. Now? That's hilarious." And Noah actually smiles whenever he sees Eric trying to pack his sandwiches correctly. It's become this small, funny family ritual. What I've learned, setting boundaries is hard, especially when the other person is resistant. It's not selfish to say no to tasks that aren't yours to carry. Sometimes letting someone fail a little helps them appreciate what you do every day. So Reddit, I think I've finally found a balance. Eric is learning responsibility. The kids get to see that sometimes parents make mistakes, and I don't feel like a short-order cook anymore. Final update. Eric finally started taking responsibility. Hey Reddit. It's been about 6 months since I first posted about the lunch saga, and I think it's finally time to close this chapter. A lot has changed. And surprisingly, for the better. Eric has stepped up. After my last update, Eric kept packing his own lunches most days. Some mornings he still grumbles. Do I really have to cut the lettuce? Wait, but it's no longer a constant fight. He even bought a little lunch container set for himself, which I think is symbolic more than anything. He's invested in doing this himself. He's also started doing other things without me having to ask, cooking dinner a few times a week though. He still burns toast occasionally. Taking Noah to an extra therapy session without being prompted. Doing the dishes after dinner on weekends. I'll be honest. Seeing these small gestures makes me feel validated. It shows he's starting to recognize all the invisible work I do around the house and with our kids. The mental load conversation. One night, after putting the kids to bed, we sat down and had a serious conversation. I explained how packed my days are and how much of my energy goes into managing Noah's care and keeping the household running. Eric actually listened. Like, really listened. He admitted that he had never truly appreciated how much goes on behind the scenes, and that he assumed because I'm home all day. It must be easy, I guess I just didn't see it. He said, I didn't mean to make you feel like I think you're lazy or anything. I told him it's not about laziness, it's about respecting the fact that I'm managing multiple jobs at once. Caregiver, parent, manager of appointments, housekeeper, etc. He nodded and said he wants to do better. The lunches themselves. The lunch making has become kind of a family joke. The kids tease him whenever he forgets his sandwich, or when he tries to pack peanut butter with jelly all over the container. Ella 8 actually started helping him some mornings. She calls it Dad Lunch School. Even Noah 4 gets involved in his small ways, like handing Eric the snack containers. It's funny and heartwarming to see this little ritual emerge from what used to be a source of conflict. Eric's growth, I'll admit, the first month or two of him making his own lunches was rough. He forgot things, he complained, he occasionally resorted to buying lunch out of frustration. But the key difference is attitude. He now respects the effort I put into this family, and he's actively trying to share the load instead of assuming I should do everything just because I'm home. He's also more mindful about money. He still buys coffee occasionally, but he's more aware of budgeting now, partly because he has to plan for his own lunches, partly because he's seeing firsthand how fast little expenses add up. 5 reflections. This whole situation started as a sandwich versus lunch debate, but it turned into a lesson about boundaries, respect, and partnership. I've learned that setting boundaries is not selfish. It's necessary. Holding firm can be uncomfortable, but it can also lead to growth in others. Small acts of responsibility can snowball into bigger changes in attitude and relationship dynamics. I feel like Eric and I are finally more equal partners. He's not perfect, and we still argue about money sometimes, but there's mutual respect now. And he no longer expects me to carry the household alone. Final thoughts. I'm proud of how this turned out. I didn't give in, and it forced Eric to step up in ways he hadn't before. The lunches, just a symptom of a bigger issue. Sharing responsibility, recognizing invisible labor, and learning to respect one another's workload. So yes, Reddit, I still don't pack his lunch. And yes, I think I made the right choice. The house is calmer, Eric is more responsible, and I feel like I can finally breathe. Stories number 7. My wife caught me crying alone to a song, and I don't know how to feel about her reaction. Sunday nights in our house usually look pretty similar. The kids run around until they burn out. My wife, Amanda, takes her evening shower, and I settle in with a drink or two once the house finally quiets down. It's kind of my ritual. After dinner, after dishes, after bedtime routines. Just me, the dim lights in the living room, and some music. That night was no different at first. I'd had 3 glasses of whiskey. Nothing extreme. Just enough to take the edge off. Dinner had gone smoothly. Spaghetti and garlic bread. The kids even ate without complaining too much. Afterward, I played tag in the backyard with them for a while, and I'll admit I was maybe a little more playful than usual. A buzz does that sometimes. It makes you lean into the moment, laugh a little louder, run around a little harder. Once they were tucked into bed, I packed my lunch for Monday, wiped down the counters, and poured my 3rd glass. Amanda had already gone upstairs for her shower. For me, this was the best part of the day. Those few minutes where the house was finally still, and I could just sit with myself. I put on a playlist, random shuffle, nothing intentional. Then it happened. Monsters by James Blunt came on. Now here's the part I need to explain. My dad Richard died when I was 18. He wasn't perfect, but he was the kind of man I respected deeply. Tough but fair, the kind of guy who worked with his hands and always had grease under his fingernails. Losing him at that age wrecked me. I was just on the edge of becoming a man myself, and I always felt like I got cheated out of the years where I could have really learned from him. So this song starts playing, and the lyrics hit me in a way I didn't expect. It was like someone ripped open a box I'd shoved deep down years ago. Before I knew it, my throat was tight, and then the tears came. Not just a few. I was sobbing. The kind of crying where you can barely breathe, where you're embarrassed, even though no one's watching. Except I wasn't alone. I didn't hear Amanda come out of the bathroom. Suddenly she was standing there, hair wrapped in a towel, looking at me with wide eyes. She asked quickly, "Are you hurt? Are you in pain?" I wiped at my face, embarrassed, and shook my head. "No, I'm fine. I was just thinking about my dad." She looked at me for a second, and I tried to explain, "You're lucky you still have your parents. I wish I had one more conversation with him." My voice cracked as I said it. She didn't hug me. She didn't sit next to me. She just frowned slightly, walked over, took the glass out of my hand, and dumped the rest of the whiskey down the sink. Then she grabbed a pillow and blanket from the hall closet and said flatly, "I'll sleep on the couch tonight. I don't think I'll get any rest in there." And that was it. I just sat there stunned. The house that had felt warm and peaceful 5 minutes earlier suddenly felt cold and empty. I keep replaying it in my head. Was she annoyed because I was drunk and emotional? Did she think I was weak? Did she get the ick from seeing her husband break down? I don't know. All I know is that her reaction made me feel 10 times worse. Instead of feeling comforted, I felt abandoned. It's not like we've been fighting. Things have been relatively good between us lately. Sure, Amanda isn't the overly affectionate type, but I thought she'd at least sit with me if she caught me crying about my dad. Instead, she left me there alone, which weirdly echoed the very thing I was crying about, losing someone I loved and being left behind. And maybe I'm being dramatic, but that's how it hit me. I should add this for context. I've been drinking since my dad passed away, but I've always kept it under control. I don't miss work. I don't ignore my responsibilities. I make sure I'm present for the kids. I'm not perfect, but I don't let alcohol run my life. Amanda is a good woman. She's no saint, but she's stuck by me through rough patches, and I respect her for that. But last night stung. I don't know if she was grossed out by the display of emotion, or if she just didn't know how to handle it. Later, I pieced together that she had probably been in the mood for some intimacy after her shower. Walking in and seeing me bawling into my whiskey was, I guess, a total mood killer. Does that excuse it? I don't know. All I know is that when I opened up, Even unintentionally, I ended up alone. That's what's haunting me right now. Update. My wife caught me crying alone to a song, and I don't know how to feel about her reaction. First off, thanks to everyone who commented on my original post. I didn't expect that much feedback, and I honestly read every reply, even the tough ones. A lot of you said I should talk to Amanda instead of just spiraling in my own head. And you were right. That's what I ended up doing. The next morning was tense. Amanda had slept on the couch, and when I came down to get the kids ready for school, she was already moving around in the kitchen. She acted normal with the kids, packing lunches, making toast, but she barely looked at me. I wasn't sure if I should bring it up right there, so I just got through the morning routine, kissed the kids goodbye, and headed to work. All day at work. I couldn't stop thinking about it. The crying, the way she took my glass, the way she left me alone. By the time I clocked out, I was tied in. Knots when I got home, the kids were at my sister-in-law's house for a sleepover, so it was just us. I thought. Perfect, no distractions. Amanda was in the kitchen chopping vegetables for dinner. I sat down at the table and said, "Hey, can we talk about last night?" She didn't look up at first, just kept cutting, and my stomach sank. Finally, she sighed and said, "Yeah, we can talk." So I told her how I felt. That hearing that song just cracked me open. That sometimes I still feel like that 18-year-old kid who never got to have those talks with his dad. That I wasn't trying to ruin the night or worry her. I just got emotional. She put the knife down, leaned against the counter and said, "I didn't know what to do. You were drunk and crying. And it threw me off. I thought if I went to bed, I'd be lying awake next to you while you tossed around. So I went to the couch." I told her it hurt, that she walked away instead of sitting with me. She frowned and said, "I'm not great with emotions like that, okay? I don't know how to fix it when you cry." And yeah, I was annoyed because I'd been in the mood after my shower, and that moment just killed it. That stung, but at least it was honest. We ended up sitting down after dinner and really talking for once. She admitted that when she sees me drinking and getting sentimental, it worries her. Her dad was an alcoholic, and she grew up with a lot of nights where he'd drink, cry, and then rage. She said she knows I'm not him, but the whiskey plus tears hit a nerve. She doesn't like to revisit. That explained a lot. It wasn't that she thought I was weak. It was that my moment looked too much like her past. I told her I'm not trying to numb myself with alcohol. I drink to relax, sure, but I've never missed work, and I've always shown up for the family. Still, I admitted that maybe I lean on it too much, and that I don't really talk about my dad unless I'm buzzed. She nodded and said, "Maybe that's what scares me. You only let that stuff out when you've had a few. What happens if one day a few turns into too many?" That was a gut punch because she's not wrong. We agreed on a few things. I'll try to open up about my dad without needing whiskey. To lower the walls, she'll try to be more present when I'm emotional instead of shutting down. We'll both keep an eye on how much I'm drinking, and if she feels uncomfortable, she'll say it outright instead of silently judging me. The conversation wasn't easy, but it felt necessary. It also reminded me that sometimes what looks like not caring is actually someone's defense mechanism. Amanda wasn't trying to be cold. She was protecting herself from memories she doesn't like. We ended the night, sitting together on the couch, no whiskey involved, just watching a dumb sitcom. She even leaned her head on my shoulder, which felt like her way of saying, "We're okay, so am I done for?" No. But I think last night was a wake-up call for both of us. I need to face my grief without a glass in my hand, and she needs to learn that being with me in those vulnerable moments won't break her. It's not perfect, but it feels like progress. Final update. My wife caught me crying alone to a song, and I don't know how to feel about her reaction. It's been about 2 weeks since I posted the last update, and I figured I'd close this out. A lot has happened in a short time, and while it's not a fairy tale ending, I feel like Amanda and I are on a better path. After our big talk, we both tried to follow through on what we agreed. For me, that meant cutting back on the nightly whiskey and actually finding a healthier outlet for everything I carry about my dad. Instead of pouring a glass after the kids go down, I've been going for short walks around the neighborhood. Sometimes I put in my earbuds and listen to music. Sometimes I just let the silence do its thing. The first couple nights I thought about pouring a drink anyway, but I held off. It felt strange, like my hands didn't know what to do without a glass in them. Amanda noticed, and she said, "You look clearer." That meant more than she probably realizes. As for her, she's been trying to stay with me in the tough moments instead of pulling away. Last Friday, I was in the garage cleaning up some old boxes, and I came across a tool set my dad gave me when I was 16 out of nowhere. I felt that lump in my throat again. Amanda came out to ask if I wanted a drink of water, and she saw my face. I thought she'd back away, but instead she put her hand on my shoulder and just stood there with me. Didn't try to fix it. Didn't make it awkward. Just stayed. That small act went a long way. We also did something I never thought we'd do. We went to a grief support group at the community center. I was hesitant. I don't really talk about my feelings with strangers, but Amanda suggested it, and I agreed to try. The first night, listening to other people share about their parents or partners, I realized I've been carrying this around mostly in silence. It was oddly comforting to hear people cry openly without shame. Amanda squeezed my hand under the table, and I knew she was proud of me for even being there now. I won't pretend everything's magically fixed, Amanda, and I still get on each other's nerves. We still argue about little things like laundry or who's picking up the kids from soccer. But since that night, there's been a shift. I feel like she sees me as more human, not just the guy who holds it together. And I see her as someone who's carrying her own scars from her past, not someone who just shut down out of coldness. The biggest takeaway? I don't think vulnerability makes me weak. If anything, it's made my marriage stronger. The night she walked out to the couch felt like rejection, but really it was the start of a conversation we both needed to have last night. Funny enough, Monsters came on again while we were cooking dinner. I froze for a second, waiting for the wave of sadness, but instead Amanda grabbed the wooden spoon she was using, held it like a microphone, and sang the lyrics in the most overdramatic, off-key voice possible. The kids cracked up. I laughed until my stomach hurt, and it hit me. My dad's gone, but life keeps giving me reasons to smile. I'll probably always miss him, and there will always be songs or moments that bring tears. But now I know I don't have to hide those tears or drown them in whiskey. I've got a wife who, flawed as she is, has my back. And I've got kids who deserve to see that being a man doesn't mean never crying, so no, I'm not done for. If anything, I feel like I'm finally starting to figure it out, thanks to everyone who pushed me to face this head-on. Stories number 8. My boyfriend just got a once-in-a-lifetime offer to go to Antarctica for a year, and I don't know if our relationship can survive it. When I was a kid, my mom always said, "Life has a funny way of testing how badly you want something." I don't think I ever really understood what she meant until now. I'm 24. In the middle of nursing school in Indiana, life is busy but steady. Classes, clinicals, late nights with textbooks, and early mornings with coffee. 8 months ago, I met this guy, Daniel. He's 26, working on his master's in environmental science. We hit it off almost immediately. What started as casual coffee dates turned into sleepovers, and within 3 months, we were basically inseparable. By month 5, we were living together in a little rental house near campus. Everyone said we were moving fast, but it felt right. Daniel isn't like anyone I've dated before. He's curious about everything, the kind of person who can turn a walk in the park into a mini lesson on plants or weather patterns. He makes life feel bigger, like there's always more to learn, more to explore. I fell in love with that energy. So when he told me he'd been offered a research position in Antarctica, I knew before he even finished the sentence that he was going to take it. It's not just a trip. It's a year-long contract at a research station on the South Pole, studying climate data and ice core samples. It's the kind of opportunity people in his field dream about, and it's the kind of thing you can't just say no to. When he sat me down to tell me, he looked both nervous and excited. He kept saying, "This is huge, Emily. This is the kind of experience that sets you apart." I nodded and smiled, because I am proud of him, I really am. But the whole time, my stomach was twisting. A year, 12 months. 365 days. That's how long he'll be gone. He says he wants to do long distance. "We'll video call whenever I have internet," he promised. But the truth is, Connections down there are spotty. Sometimes it's email only. Sometimes the weather cuts them off for days at a time, and there will be entire months when the sun doesn't even rise. I keep imagining what it will be like to fall asleep alone in our bed, night after night, to come home from 12-hour hospital shifts with no one waiting for me to celebrate holidays through a screen. If the Wi-Fi even works, to scroll through my camera roll, staring at pictures of us, and wondering if he's sitting in some frozen lab thousands of miles away thinking about me too, or if he's just too busy, too tired, too cold. And then there's the fear I don't like saying out loud. What if he meets someone else? Not in Antarctica. There aren't exactly bars and coffee shops down there, but maybe when he comes back. What if the distance makes him realize he doesn't want this anymore? What if I spend a year holding on while he slowly drifts away? We've talked about it. Daniel insists he wants to stay together. He says, "You're my home, Em. You're who I want at the end of this, no matter what." And I believe him when he says it, but promises are easy in the moment. They're harder when loneliness stretches out over months. The rational part of me knows I shouldn't stand in his way. I'd never forgive myself if I begged him to stay, and he resented me for it. This opportunity is huge for him, for his career, for his sense of purpose. If the roles were reversed, I'd want him to support me too. But the emotional part of me, the part that wants to curl up on the couch with him every night and laugh about dumb TV shows, feels like I'm about to lose something I just barely found. My friends are split. My roommate Jessica says I should let him go and do long distance. If it's real, it'll survive, she told me. My brother Ryan was blunter. 8 months in and he's bailing for a year? That's not exactly commitment, sis. My mom says she trusts me to make the right choice, but I can tell she's worried about me putting my life on hold for someone who might not be here in the long run. The truth is, I'm torn. I love him. I love the way he makes me feel like the world is wide open. Like I can be more than just stressed-out nursing student Emily. But I'm terrified of what a year apart will do to us. I keep asking myself, do I cling to this relationship through the distance, holding my breath until he comes home? Or do I let go now, before it has the chance to break me later? I don't want to stop him. I don't want to be the reason he says no to Antarctica. But I also don't want to spend the next year feeling like I'm waiting for my life to start again. I don't know what's braver, holding on or letting go. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 is actually in Antarctica right now doing research. Maybe reach out to him to see what life is like down there for a first-hand experience. Commenter 2. There is no chance whatsoever he'll hook up with someone. You'll be one of his lifelines to reality. Hooray for Skype edit. Apparently what I learned about this was bollocks. Commenter 3. You're completely wrong. I'm in Antarctica, and I can assure you that hookups are still very much a thing. Edit. I sounded kind of like a jerk. Didn't mean to. Commenter 4. I'd want verification of those statements. Edit. Okay, your post-history checks. Out. Surely hookups are insanely unwise and disruptive. Commenter 5. I'm Antarctica. And yes, there are men and women here, and people do meet. What would you like to know? Commenter 6. Guys, it's the transcript guy. Hi Vocadis. Commenter 7. Hello friend. Someone said my name 3 times and summoned me from my dimly lit office. Commenter 9. I worked in Antarctica for a bit, and honestly, everyone was at it like rabbits. It's a weird scenario because you are basically living life in a bubble, and so it becomes a bit easy to forget the outside world. Most of the people who were in relationships when they went down broke up pretty quick. Before I go totally doom and gloom on you, some relationships did survive. Mine did just. But it was really hard. You can either decide to give long distance a go or call quits for now, and just see where you are when he gets back in a year's time. I hope it works out for you. Update, boyfriend, 27 Emmy. Leaving me 25F to go to Antarctica. Well, it's been a full year. And my boyfriend has been in Antarctica the entire time. Everything was fine. Until last week. He's been giving me one-word texts when he talks to me, and gradually ignoring my texts. Today, I asked him why and if he's okay. I asked him if he's cheating on me. In Antarctica, all his friends have left, and now 100 new people he's never seen before are there for the new summer. He dropped a bomb on me today. He said he wants to take a break. I asked him if he met someone. Else he answered with a hard no. He kept saying IDK why I'm acting like this. Then finally he said, after months of complaining about wanting to leave, Antarctica is such a special place. I can't describe how melancholy I feel about leaving. I don't have a job in place for when I get back. I don't want to go back. A part of me wants to stay here. Another part wants to go home, and another wants to go on an adventure by myself. I told him to sleep on it and call me back tomorrow, and also suggested that he's just having a bad day. Keep in mind that I've been living in his apartment for 11 months, moved out all his stuff for him, and am now living with my parents and his dog. I have no idea what to do with the dog and his stuff, as they surely aren't mine. I'm also speechless that I put so much faith in this person, and they dropped such a huge bomb on me just a couple of days before leaving. Please, does anyone have any advice? What should I do? I put my life on hold for this person, and I honestly don't know what to make of this new cluster fucktal DR. Boyfriend left for Antarctica. Now, wants to take a break, after a year of me waiting. For him, my now ex-boyfriend 27M returned from Antarctica and left me 26F with a huge mess. Let me start off by saying that I waited for this man for over a year to return home. While he was gone, me and my mom spent a ton of money to move out his stuff for him into a storage unit, and we also took care of his dog when he returned home. I set up an Airbnb for us to stay in for 2 weeks. He was acting really mean to me the whole time, and I couldn't figure out why. He couldn't say that he loved me. He went to the post office one day and left his laptop open. I quickly searched through his messages because I felt that something wasn't right. About 2 weeks before leaving Antarctica, I found of that he had started a relationship with a girl down there. He lied to her about my existence, and also lied to all his friends by saying that I cheated on him. I am trying very hard to get over this, but it's been awful. So awful I still have his dog and some of his stuff, and we have ceased communicating with each other. I have already blocked any contact with him, but it still hurts so bad. I know he is living in town, and will try to taint my relationship with our mutual friends. It's been about a week since the incident. I don't think I'll be able to trust anyone ever again. Advice? Tell. Doctor. Took care of man's stuff for a year while he went on adventure, and he cheated and lied to everyone about our relationship so he could sleep with some girl. Final comments. Commenter. 1. What an asshole. With mutual friends, I would begin by broadcasting your story as he was in Antarctica. You would not have been the only person in contact with him. If he would have suspected you of cheating, he would have said something he did not. Moreover, as he was gone, those mutual friends would have known if you were cheating. He would have to come up with a story and the guy's name. To preserve your reputation, you have a good argument to convince others. He was acting really mean to me the whole time, and I couldn't figure out why. Other than projecting his own guilt, there is a minority chance that someone lied to him and told him you were cheating. That's another thing to check out. Reply. That's not likely at all. He snaked his way through all of this, and an accusation was never ever brought up by him. We had very open communication with each other. Anytime I had a concern of him cheating, he told me how much he loved me and reassured me so strongly. We were very solid, which is why it's so hard to swallow that this happened. Commenter 2. Don't sit there and let him damage your relationships with your friends. You go and tell them exactly what he did and your side. Also, stop paying for his storage. Tell him he has X days to retrieve it, or you'll sell everything. I'm sorry this happened. OP. He's a two-faced liar. Edit. Did you manage to get any evidence or screenshots? Reply nope. I was in such a rage that was the last thing on my mind. I also deleted all his texts and blocked him. Commenter 3. Anytime I had a concern of him cheating, was this a regular concern? How often did you wonder or ask him if he was cheating? So sorry this has happened to you. Reply, well, before he left I had a huge concern about it, and we had a long talk about it, in which I was reassured that he loved me so much it would not happen. The second time it was brought up was just before he left. He of course lied. Stories number 9. My ex wants back the expensive necklace he gave me for my birthday, and I don't know if I should return it. When you're in a relationship for years, Certain things start to carry meaning that's hard to explain to anyone else. A song on the radio, a restaurant you always went to, a hoodie that smells like them, or in my case, a necklace. I'm 23, and up until a month ago, I was with my ex, David, who's 24. We dated for 3 years, basically all of my early 20s. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, hit it off over our shared love for bad horror movies, and that was it. We became inseparable. Last year for my birthday, he gave me a necklace. It wasn't just some cheap accessory, it was this delicate silver chain with a small oval opal pendant. The kind of piece you can tell he actually put thought into. Opals have always been my favorite stone. Not because of some deep meaning, honestly, but because my grandma used to wear an opal ring, and I always thought it was beautiful. I'd mentioned it once in passing, maybe a year into dating. Apparently David remembered when I opened that little box on my 22nd birthday and saw it. I cried. It was the first nice piece of jewelry I'd ever owned. Not a $20 ring from Target, not costume earrings from the mall. Something real. Something that felt grown up. And every time I put it on, I thought about him, actually listening to me, remembering that small detail, and wanting me to have it. I wore that necklace almost every single day. It became part of my routine, the last thing I'd clasp on before leaving the apartment. Coworkers commented on it, friends asked where I got it, and every time I'd smile a little and say, "My boyfriend gave it to me." Fast forward to last month. We broke up. It wasn't explosive, no screaming match, no cheating scandal, just quiet. We'd been drifting for months. He was deep in his new job at a startup in Chicago, working long hours, stressed all the time. I was juggling nursing school and night shifts at the hospital. We saw each other less and less, and when we did, it felt like we were talking past each other. One night we sat down on the couch, and I think we both knew what was coming. There were tears, some long silences, and eventually David said, "I think we're holding on to something that doesn't fit anymore." I nodded because I felt it too. It hurt, but it was almost a relief to finally say it out loud. We hugged. He left. That was that, or at least I thought. A couple weeks later, I got a text from him out of nowhere. At first I thought maybe he wanted to check in, or that he was second-guessing the breakup. Instead, it said, "Hey, I was thinking about the necklace I gave you last year. It was really meaningful to me, and it feels weird that you still have it. Would you mind giving it back?" I stared at my phone for a long time. Here's the thing. It was a gift. He gave it to me for my birthday. It wasn't a loan. It wasn't a family heirloom. It wasn't holding this for me until later. It was mine. I didn't sneak it out of his drawer. I didn't trick him into buying it. He handed me that little box with a smile and said, "Happy birthday, Em." So why does he suddenly want it back? Part of me gets it. Maybe it stings to know I still wear it. Maybe it makes him feel like there's a piece of him still hanging on me. But part of me also feels like that's his problem, not mine. A gift is a gift. You don't get to ask for it back just because we're not together anymore. I haven't responded to his text yet. Every time I start typing, I delete it. The petty part of me wants to write, "Nope, it's mine. You gave it to me. End of story." But another part of me doesn't want to start drama where there doesn't need to be any. We ended things calmly, and I'd like to keep it that way, but I also can't ignore that this necklace isn't just some random piece of jewelry to me. It's my one nice thing. It makes me feel put together, like I can walk into the hospital in scrubs and still have something elegant on. It reminds me of my grandma in a weird way. It's not just David's gift. It's part of my everyday life now. I told my roommate, Lauren, about it, and she immediately said, "No way, that's yours. He's being ridiculous." My brother Matt was harsher. "Sounds like he regrets spending the money and wants it back." Screw that, but then my mom surprised me by saying, "Maybe giving it back would give you both some closure." She pointed out that maybe David associates the necklace with the relationship in a way I don't. That maybe holding on to it is holding on to him, even if I don't mean it that way. And now I'm stuck. Do I give back the one piece of jewelry that actually feels like mine, just to keep the peace? Or do I stand firm on the principle that a gift is a gift, and once you give it, it's not yours anymore? The whole situation has me questioning whether keeping it makes me selfish, or if giving it back makes me a pushover update. My ex wants back the expensive necklace he gave me for my birthday, and I don't know if I should return it. So I finally replied to David. It took me 3 full days of staring at that text before I got the nerve. I didn't want to leave him hanging, but I also didn't want to fire back something defensive or petty. I typed out, "Hey, I get that the necklace meant something to you, but you gave it to me as a birthday gift. I've worn it every day for a year. It's really special to me, and I don't feel right giving it back. I hope you can understand." And then I put my phone down, turned it face down on the counter, and immediately regretted sending it. You know when your heart is beating so hard you can hear it in your ears? That was me, pacing my apartment, wondering if I'd just set off an argument with someone I wasn't even dating anymore. He didn't reply for almost a full day. I went through every scenario in my head. Maybe he'd call me selfish. Maybe he'd try to guilt trip me. Maybe he'd even show up at my door. He still knows my address when his response finally came. It was just, "I don't think you understand what it meant to me. I bought that because I thought we'd get married one day. I wanted you to have something permanent from me. Now it just feels wrong." That one stung. Hard. I didn't know how to respond. Because yeah, it's sad. It made me tear up to even read that, imagining him in some jewelry store, picking out that opal with all these hopes in his head about a future that didn't happen. But at the same time, isn't that life? Don't we all have little artifacts from old relationships? I ended up calling my mom again. She's old school, very keep the peace type, and she surprised me this time. She said, "Honey, he gave it to you for your birthday. That's the end of it. You don't need to feel guilty because he attached extra meaning to it." I also brought it up with my friend group during a late-night Waffle House run. Everyone had strong opinions. Obviously, my roommate Lauren was adamant. If he wanted something back, he should have asked for the PlayStation you bought him too. That's not how gifts work. My friend Kevin, though, said he actually gave an expensive watch back to his ex once, just because he didn't want the association anymore. It wasn't worth the drama to me, he said. So now I'm sitting in this weird middle ground. Because the truth? I still wear the necklace. I wore it to clinicals yesterday, and I kept thinking, if I give it back, I'll feel like I lost a piece of myself, not just him. If I keep it, maybe I'm holding on to something that isn't mine anymore. What tipped me a little was when my brother Matt called me and said, "Look, if he gave it as a gift, he doesn't get to rewrite history. That's like me giving someone a birthday present and then asking for it back after a fight. You can empathize with him, sure, but don't let him rewrite the rules." So I texted David again. "I do understand what it meant to you, I really do. But it was a gift, and it's something I value. I'm going to keep it. I hope you can respect that." He read it. Left me undelivered. And that was it. It's been a week now. No more texts, no random phone calls. No showing up at my door. Silence. And honestly, I think that's the closure. I'll admit, part of me still feels a little guilty when I clasp the chain around my neck in the morning, but a bigger part of me feels relieved. Like I finally stood my ground on something that mattered to me, instead of bending over backwards to avoid conflict. The necklace might have started as his way of showing love, but it's mine now. It's the thing I wear when I need to remind myself I deserve good things, and maybe, weirdly enough, it's helping me move on more than giving it back ever would have. Final update. The necklace situation with my ex. It's been about 4 months since the whole necklace back and forth with David, and I figured I'd give a final update because a lot has happened since then. First off, I still have the necklace. I wear it most days, though not every day like I used to. And honestly, that shift wasn't intentional. It just happened naturally. At first, I think I wore it almost as a quiet act of defiance, like, this is mine, and I don't need to justify it. But over time, it's become just another piece of jewelry. In my little collection, I love it, sure, but it doesn't feel heavy with meaning anymore. About 6 weeks ago, I ran into David, totally unplanned. I was grabbing groceries at Target after clinicals, looking like a sleep-deprived raccoon, mind you, and there he was in the checkout line with one of his co-workers. It was one of those moments where your stomach drops and you debate ducking into the home goods aisle to avoid human contact. But he spotted me before I could pull off the escape. He gave me a small smile, and I noticed he looked different. Not bad different, just older, more tired. We chatted briefly, surface-level stuff. Work, school, mutual friends. His coworker was right there, so nothing heavy got brought up. But as he was leaving, he said quietly, "I'm glad you kept the necklace. I think you should have it." That floored me. After all that tension, he just gave me his blessing in one sentence. Like it wasn't even a big deal. I didn't know what to say in the moment. So I just nodded and said thanks. Later that night, I sat on my bed holding the necklace in my hand. For the first time, I didn't feel guilty or conflicted or even stubborn. I just felt, okay, like the ghost of the argument finally left the room. And here's the wild part. Around 2 months ago, I started dating someone new. His name is Jason, and he's one of those quiet but funny types who makes you laugh at things you didn't even realize were funny. When I first explained the necklace situation to him because, yes, I felt like I had to disclose it, he just shrugged and said, "It looks good on you, that's all that matters." That's simple. No jealousy, no drama. I realized then that the necklace had been carrying weight. It didn't need to. It wasn't about David anymore. It was about me learning not to downplay what I want, just to keep the peace. My mom even commented on it recently. She said, "You stand a little taller these days." And I think she's right. The necklace is still around my neck, but the baggage isn't. So yeah, I kept the gift. I stood my ground. The world didn't end. And now, instead of feeling like some tug-of-war trophy, it just feels like mine. And maybe that's the real win in all this. Not the opal on the chain, but the fact that I learned it's okay to say, "No, this matters to me," and not apologize for it. Stories number 10. My son will never let me live down the ER trip I dragged him to, so I'm a mom to a 16-year-old boy, and parenting teenagers is already a minefield. You're constantly balancing between wanting to keep them alive and safe while also trying not to ruin their social life, their fragile sense of independence, or their already sky-high embarrassment levels. Enter my son, Ryan. Ryan recently started on a new medication. His doctor, Dr. Whitaker, was very clear with me when she prescribed it. If Ryan develops a rash of any kind, you need to take him to the ER immediately. She stressed that it was rare, but a possible side effect was something called Stevens-Johnson syndrome, which is apparently really dangerous. She even said, "Don't wait. If he shows you a rash, you go. Tell them the name of the med, and they'll know what to do." That stuck in my head like a siren. So I've been on high alert ever since. Every time Ryan even scratched his arm, I was half ready to throw him in the car. Fast forward to last Thursday. Ryan comes into the kitchen, half smirking, half serious, and goes, Mom? Is this something?" He pulls down the collar of his hoodie and shows me his neck. Sure enough, there's a red patch on the side. My stomach drops. It's not big, but it's there. And of course, that's the exact day he was supposed to take his increased dose of the medication. The timing could not have been worse, so my brain immediately goes, DEFCON 1. I'm picturing my kid's skin falling off, him in the ICU, me sitting there wishing I'd acted faster. So what do? I throw my keys in my bag, grab Ryan by the wrist, and basically yell, "Get in the car, we're going to the ER." Ryan, of course, is mortified. He's like, "Mom, it's probably nothing, chill." But I'm already halfway out the door. We get to the ER and I march up to the check-in desk like I'm defusing a bomb. I tell the nurse his name, his med, and the warning I got from his doctor. I'm expecting alarms to go off, a gurney to appear, maybe a code red. Instead, the receptionist gives me a very nonchalant, "Okay, have a seat, someone will call you back shortly." Meanwhile, Ryan is slumped in the waiting room chair like I've just ruined his entire social standing in town. He keeps whispering, "This is so dumb, Mom. Everyone's looking at me." Nobody was, but try telling that to a 16-year-old boy. We sit for almost an hour. An hour. My panic starts cooling into mild annoyance. Eventually, they call Ryan back. We get put in a room, and finally a doctor comes in. This guy doesn't even introduce himself. He glances at Ryan's neck for all of 2 seconds and goes, "Dude, that's razor rash." I blink. "I'm sorry, what?" He shrugs. Razor burn happens all the time with teenage boys when they first start shaving. Then he looks at Ryan and says, "You using a cheap razor?" Ryan, bright red, mumbles, Yeah." The doctor chuckles, pats him on the shoulder, and leaves the room. That's it, visit over. I wanted the earth to open up and swallow me whole. I dragged my poor kid to the ER for razor burn. Razor burn Ryan is furious. Not at the doctor, not at the situation, at me. He storms out of the hospital muttering, "Unbelievable. You're so extra, I told you it was nothing." I try to defend myself with, "Your doctor literally said," but he cuts me off with, "You are never living this down." And let me tell you, he wasn't kidding. Every day since, he finds a way to bring it up. I asked him to take out the trash? Sure, but don't freak out if I get a rash from the garbage bag. Mom might need another ER trip. Asked him to clean his room? Careful, I might break out in hives from the dust. You better have the car ready. We had spaghetti for dinner last night. He twirled a noodle around his fork, looked dead serious, and said, "Mom, my lips feel tingly. Should we call 911? He thinks he's hilarious. And honestly, he kind of is. I told my husband Mark about it, hoping for some backup. He just laughed so hard he cried and said, 'Babe, you gotta admit, you overreacted.' Which, okay, fair. But I swear I was just following doctor's orders. The cherry on top," Ryan told his buddies at school. Now I'm apparently the paranoid ER mom, and his friends have joined in. One of them texted him a photo of a mosquito bite with the caption, "Better tell your mom, so yeah." I followed medical advice to the letter, only to humiliate myself and scar my teenager's ego for life. I don't think I'll ever live this one down, TL. DR. Doctor told me to take my son to the ER if he developed any rash on a new medication. He got razor burn. I freaked out. ER doc laughed. "My son will never let me forget it. Update. My son still hasn't forgiven me for the ER trip. It's been a couple of weeks since I dragged Ryan to the ER over his razor rash, and I thought the embarrassment would fade. Spoiler, it hasn't. If anything, he's leaning into it, harder. For context, Ryan is one of those kids who doesn't let anything go when he was 6. I accidentally burned the grilled cheese, and he still brings that up occasionally, like I personally betrayed him. So of course the ER trip has basically turned into his favorite comedy bit. The first week after the incident, it was non-stop. Every time he shaved, he'd wander out of the bathroom clutching his neck like, "Mom, it's happening again, call the ambulance." Or he'd come in from basketball practice with sweat rash on his arms and dramatically collapse on the couch. Tell my story. Don't let them forget me. At first I rolled my eyes, but I'll admit, I laughed too. It was funny. But then, he started roping in other people. We went over to my sister's house for dinner, and Ryan announced to the whole table, "Careful with the salad dressing. Aunt Liz's mom might think you're having an allergic reaction and rush you to the ER. Cue everyone laughing, me sitting there red-faced, and Ryan basking in his new role as family comedian. Even my husband, Mark, isn't helping. He came home one night with a pack of cheap disposable razors, tossed them on the counter and said, "Thought we might need backup in case Ryan has another medical emergency. I swear I am living with a household of stand-up comics." Here's the thing though, I wasn't crazy. After the ER visit, I called Dr. Whitaker, the prescribing doctor, to tell her what happened. She sighed and said, "Yeah, I probably scared you more than I meant to. Rash is a red flag, but there are usually other symptoms too. I just tell parents to be cautious." Translation. She covered her butt, and now I look like a hypochondriac. When I told Ryan this, he smirked and said, "So basically you overreacted and dragged me to the hospital because you can't handle teenage facial hair, and honestly, he's not entirely wrong. The one saving grace is that his friends finally moved on. For a while, every time Ryan got a text, it was some meme about medical bracelets or ER wristbands. He took it like a champ, though. He was laughing right along with them, probably because it made me squirm more than him. The irony is, he's actually gotten better at shaving. Now I went and bought him one of those starter electric razors to prevent irritation, and he rolled his eyes like I was babying him. But guess what? No more razor rash. You'd think that would be a win for me, but nope. His new line is, Thanks, Mom. I guess I needed an entire medical intervention just to learn how to shave. So yeah, life lesson. Listen to doctors, but maybe don't sprint to the ER unless your kid is actually dying. Silver lining. Ryan's had fun with the story. The families had their laughs, and I've been officially crowned Most Paranoid Parent of the Year. I'll take the title if it means he's safe, and, between you and me, I'd 100% do it again if I thought something was wrong. He can make fun of me until I'm in the grave. I'll still choose looking ridiculous over taking chances with his health. Final update. The legendary ER trip has officially become family. Lore, it's been about 6 months since the great razor rash debacle TM, and I think it's safe to say this story has cemented itself as part of our family history. Ryan hasn't let it go. In fact, he's weaponized it. Anytime we're with relatives, family friends, or even just acquaintances, he finds a way to slip it into conversation. We'll be at a barbecue, and someone will say, "How's school, Ryan?" And he'll deadpan, "Pretty good. At least Mom hasn't dragged me to the ER for shaving this semester." Boom. Everyone laughs. I turn red, and he looks smug as a cat mark. My husband isn't helping. He thinks it's hilarious. He even bought Ryan a novelty first aid kit for his birthday, with a card that said, "For when shaving gets dangerous." Ryan nearly fell over laughing. I seriously considered filing for custody of the dog just to have one creature in this house that doesn't mock me. But here's where it gets interesting. I think the whole incident actually gave Ryan a weird kind of confidence. Before this, he was self-conscious about shaving. He'd nick himself all the time, hated that his skin got irritated, and grumbled about baby face stuff. But after the ER trip, it turned into a running gag. Instead of being embarrassed, he leaned into the joke. His friends even call him ICU now. And instead of sulking, he laughs along. Teenagers are brutal. But Ryan flipped it on them a few weeks ago. He even said, "You know, Mom, as much as I roast you for this, it's kind of cool knowing you'd rather look dumb than risk something happening to me." And that stopped me in my tracks. For a kid who communicates mostly in sarcasm and grunts, that was basically an "I love you," and I'll admit, I teared up a little. He pretended not to notice, but I caught the small smile. The kicker? We were at Thanksgiving with the whole extended family, and Ryan told the story again. I braced myself for another round of humiliation, but this time he ended it by saying, "Yeah, my mom overreacted, but honestly, I'd rather have a mom who cares too much than one who doesn't care at all." I swear, you could hear every aunt at the table collectively go, "Oh." Meanwhile, Ryan turned beet red, buried his face in his mashed potatoes, and muttered, "Don't make it weird." So, final verdict. Yes, I humiliated myself. Yes, I'll be the butt of jokes in my house until the end of time. But I also learned something. Sometimes those embarrassing, over-the-top mom moments stick with kids in a good way. Underneath all the sarcasm, Ryan knows I'll always have his back, and if he ever shows me a rash again, you better believe I'll check it twice before sprinting to the ER. But if my gut tells me it's serious, I'll still be the crazy, paranoid mom in the waiting room. Because honestly, that's the job.